$2 trillion to the wealthiest among us will cause the largest upward wealth transfer in human history from us to them. And these things are out there, and just they don't have champions right now. They don't have enough people fighting. So that's what we need to do. We need to get the right people in the right place at the right time, who have the right set of cojones to fight for these things that are going to help you. So
this is how we do it.
That's how we need to do it. Exactly.
And I thank you for coming out.
Of course. Thank you for putting us on.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, yeah, thanks everybody.
We really appreciate it.
And what else do you want to talk about? I'm here. Let's talk. Sir.
The only thing I've ever seen from Kelly is the ad about history of Pennsylvania, and that was about it. Not that I want to put down the history of Pennsylvania, but I think there's a lot more pressing arguments to be had.
There is.
And my main argument is, and my main problem with politics today, is that we have a president and a Congress that are basically cleaning their behind with the Constitution and the laws that are out there and whatever the judges decide.
Yeah.
And so the question is, what can you do and what should be done as far as like stopping that? Because we should learn from the past, right? And this has happened. There's no stopping. There were no safeguards.
Right.
We need to put some safeguards through this, I think.
And you're absolutely right about learning from the past. And right now we have a lot of people who look to the past and think that that's where we should be headed. Well, my kids and our kids and nobody here is going to live in the past. Right? We're going to live in the future. So we just stop. We can learn, like you said, learn from the past. But don't live in the past. Learn from the past so you can solve the problems for them. And one of the things, the reason this has all happened, like you said, with Trump and all, it could have been anybody, because those safeguards aren't there. We're seeing them. Congress doesn't have the power it needs to have to make this stuff stop. The Senate doesn't have the power to make this stuff stop. And one of the biggest problems is they're paid for. They're bought and paid for through this dark money in our politics, all this money we have in our politics. So one of the things that I vowed to do, and it's not just me, I'm running with a bunch of other, you probably have heard me talk about this before. I'm running with a bunch of other candidates who are running all across the country in a coalition called Take Back Congress. And one of the first things that they vowed to do is to overturn Citizens United. Enough of us in this coalition get elected, we'll have the votes to overturn it. Term limits for Congress and the Senate is another one. We have people in office who are dying in office and then pretending they're not dead. Right? Weekend at Bernie's in the hospital. And it's tomorrow, right? August 3rd is the deadline for the special election. So who's going to, August 4th, we're going to learn, oh yeah, Mitch just passed away that morning.
Yeah.
Right? It's insane. Lindsey Graham, Dianne Feinstein, or Gideon Fox, Chuck Schumer. I'm not just going to pick on one side because we have so many older politicians who don't have to live with the consequences of their decisions. Right? They're not going to be around. So they're just grabbing up everything they can while they're here. So it's that corruption. It's a sickness in our government. And everything else stems from that corruption sickness. We have politicians who are bought by billionaires. 29% of all the donations to political parties come from 300 billionaires in the United States. They just buy whatever they want. They buy elections. They buy decisions. They buy influence. Meanwhile, people like us are left down here struggling. And they don't care. I mean, are any of us going to go buy a politician? Randy, do you have a couple $1 billion that you could spend? No?
Oh yeah, a couple million.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take it if you want to buy a congressman. Just kidding. But yeah, we can't make these decisions. We can't influence these decisions unless we can get that kind of influence out. Like I said, by getting rid of this corruption. And it's going to be a fight because right now everything is, the corruption in there is just so embedded. And not just embedded, but by design. The system was designed for them to work for them. Over years and years and years, decades and decades and decades, it wasn't designed to work for us. It wasn't designed to help the factory worker or to help the nurse in Sharon who pays more taxes than some billionaire who just sold $1 billion worth of stock and doesn't have to pay taxes on it. We're talking about the past a little bit. We're looking at, and I was thinking about this, like, we should learn from the past. And we should learn back in the 50s. People had good jobs. Tons of people, one working person in the household. People could afford a home. People could afford a car. People could go on vacation. People weren't so concerned about their health care. You know what the difference was? Corporate tax rate in the 50s was 91%, and now it's like 21. So
A lot of loopholes.
it's got a lot of loopholes, and we're not asking. Like, it's great to be an entrepreneur and raise all this money because you have a good idea, right? You should be rewarded for your innovation, right? Like I said, I'm an engineer. I've invented a few things myself. Nothing ever really took off the ground, so maybe they weren't great inventions, but I tried. But you go back and you look at that, and you see when they talk about America, make America great again, like they like to say. But they don't look back to the part that made America great, where the people who benefited the most from this system have the responsibility to help maintain it. Through their taxes, through the commons, right? Through funding things like schools and things like that. I look back at somebody like Andrew Carnegie, who, was a billionaire and didn't do everything super ethically. Like, he's been, one of the things he did was cause the Jonestown flood. That's a whole different ball of worms. But he was a philanthropist. He built museums, he built schools, he built all this stuff because he knew that he benefited so much from the system that he should give back. So that's all we're asking for. It is just, if you're going to take the system and exploit it so much, then you should at least work to maintain it. Because, well, I was going to say, who's helping you make all this stuff? It's us. It's the work. It's people on the ground, building this country, running this country, taking care of other people, working in hospitals, working in mills, working in factories. For now, until they replace us all with robots. Which I just saw that Bezos has just invested $100 billion in robotics instead of investing in his people that are, on SNAP benefits, on welfare, while still working at Walmart, or still working at Amazon, or still working at all these places. And now, instead of investing in his people, we're investing in robots to replace them. So that's coming as well, which is terrifying to me. That's something we're going to have to navigate as well. You need people in there who aren't going to give them the leeway to just say, yeah, sure, make whatever robot you want. Send it to whatever factory you want. I saw yesterday, I was reading an article about an AI school with no teachers. You send your children to this school and AI teaches them. So instead of investing in our teachers, instead of investing in our public education, we've heard from teachers for so long, they're underpaid, they can't afford the resources. Okay, well, I guess we'll get rid of them and replace them with AI. That can't happen. But it seems to be where right now we're bulldozing towards as fast as we can, without guardrails, without any kind of safeguards. And the results of something like as powerful as AI being not controlled is terrifying. I think we've all seen the movies of what happens when AI goes out of control. And I don't mean to step into the sci-fi thing, but it seems like we're living in a sci-fi dystopia these days. At least seems like it to me. But I think
1984 at least.
yeah, 1984 for sure. I think that's their playbook.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, these are all great ideas. Not a warning, but yeah. So
There's several IT engineers who recently said AI has gone rogue.
yeah,
It's actually taking over
Singularity.
and challenging
getting
human
there
beings.
to AGI. Because I don't know if you saw, there was a sandbox AI who they were testing, and it broke free and it infiltrated another one. That's not supposed to happen.
Happened twice.
And what are we learning? Nothing.
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
We're manufacturing our own demise. It seems like. I don't mean to bring everybody down, but like I see this stuff, I'm like, oh my goodness, have we learned nothing? Once again, our knowledge outpaces our wisdom. Every time we come up with some new technology, and it's shiny, and it's bright, we're like, oh, let's throw that out there as much as we can, but we don't realize the consequences. Like when we invented the car, amazing. Now we can get here, there. We didn't see the long-term consequences of things like climate change and global warming, due to that kind of emissions. And back then, we had a little bit of an excuse. We didn't have the science. We didn't know as much as we do now. Today we don't have an excuse. Today we know what's going on, and yet we just go along with it instead of trying to do anything. I don't know if you guys are fans of The Simpsons, but there's a great line from a character in there that says, "We tried nothing and we're all out of ideas." And that seems to be our governance, and that needs to change. So I've got lots of ideas, and hopefully I have lots of solutions, and hopefully I can get them through with enough support from people who follow along like me in Congress.
I have a question about your coalition.
Yes.
How many folks are in it?
Okay.
Do you meet like regularly, and how do you work at supporting one another? Have you sort of like listed like what I know you said Citizens United,
Yep.
got that,
Yep.
but and what are their chances? I know it's early yet, but like, are we talking about this coalition having some pretty good chance of a significant number coming in to be making?
Yeah. So the coalition is called Take Back Congress. We actually have an incumbent senator, incumbent congressman as well, who've signed on as well, so they're already in there.
Okay.
There's about 70 of us across the country. We had an astronaut. Unfortunately, he lost his primary, which is like, okay. But so the tenets are, like I said, end Citizens United. A 5-year moratorium on lobbying, so you don't get out of Congress, turn around and go lobby your friends. Term limits, Congress and Senate. An enforceable code of ethics for the Supreme Court, because I can't believe they don't have one. And one more that I always forget, but I'll remember.
Releasing the Epstein file.
Well, yeah, I can't, like, that's crazy. But anyway, but keep going.
You can phone a friend.
A lot of people have are winning their primaries. They won their primaries in places like Georgia, places like Alabama. The guy who started, his name's Andrew Sneed. He's a plumber. He's not a politician. He's like me. He's a blue-collar working guy, and he's stepped back from his plumbing career to run, just like I stepped back from my engineering job. But what I see a lot of in this coalition is people who fix things, people who are working class, and people who are standing up for the things they believe in to solve these problems that we see. And none of them are rich politicians. None of them are establishment politicians. A lot of them are first time, like me. And Andrew did a great job reaching out, finding candidates all over the country.
Good.
Bob Brooks is in there. Janelle Stelson. Everybody running in Ohio is in there. Every single race in Ohio is in there. So they've got a good chance, and I think it's a fantastic idea. And if you want to look it up, it's takebackcongress.us. Check them out. They've got a great platform. They've got everybody listed and who's won their primaries and everything. We talk to each other all the time. We have a big long signal thread that everybody's on. Some people participate, some people don't. But and then we all have each other's like phone numbers. A couple other people in PA, Ray Bilger, a friend of mine, and Alan Bradstock, both other veterans who are running in other counties in Pennsylvania, are on there. So yeah, it's got a lot of momentum. It's got a lot of movement, and I think it's going to do well. And I think it's going to be a historic achievement for Andrew and for the rest of us in the coalition.
Awesome.
You want to say a little bit about your ideas about healthcare?
Sure. Did I bring my healthcare? Well, we know what healthcare is doing, and we know that our healthcare system it's not broken, is what I'll say. It's working exactly as it was designed. Because it was designed to profit off the backs of sick Americans and to profit off the backs of as much care that they could deny from the rest of us, to put all of our insurance money and everything else that we pay out the nose for into the pockets of hospital shareholders, pockets of hospital CEOs who make like $26 million in bonuses. That's what the CEO of United Healthcare made last year as a bonus on top of whatever he makes. And like I said, it's been designed this way. And it's been a fight for like the past 80 years. And we haven't tried anything different. We keep trying the same thing. Do we want our kids 20 years from now to be having the same argument? No. I mean, our healthcare sucks. Well, it sucked 20 years ago. What sucked 20 years before that? What'd you guys do? Nothing. right? So we have to work on it, and we have to work towards a better healthcare system that works for everyone. A public option like a universal healthcare. We're not trying to take anybody's private insurance away, but we shouldn't have to be tied to our healthcare system. We're like indentured servants because we're tied to our job. We're just tied to healthcare. When I left my job, luckily I have the VA, so I was able to leave my job. But not everybody does. Imagine if you woke up tomorrow and your paycheck was, you didn't have a $500 insurance charge. Imagine you woke up tomorrow and you could leave your job and go start a business like you always dreamed of. People are terrified of not having health care, and they should be, especially in this country. This is the only country in the world, developed country in the world, that people go bankrupt from Medicare, from medical debt. In the United States, where we spent $111 billion on war just this year, and building ballrooms and statues and reflecting pools and all these vanity projects, and all this money that could be going towards good services to help the people of the United States, to help them with their health care. We could do things like make Medicare be able to negotiate every drug price instead of just a few, like they do. Right? They have this list of 5 or 6 drugs every once in a while that they can Medicare, that they can negotiate for. If they could negotiate for everything, drug prices would come down. We need to look at the for-profit hospitals and the insurance companies and close the loopholes that allow them to get away with using AI basically to deny care. I don't mean to keep harping on AI, but it happens. We need to these for-profit, incredibly greedy insurance companies, right? They need to be looked at very hard, and we need to close any kind of, like I said, loopholes that they have that allow them to do what they're doing. So, I'm sorry I don't have my book on me.
That was good.
Piggybacking, how are you going to convince other Democrats to be able to follow this path? Because the ACA had a public option.
Right.
And then the Blue Dog Democrats said no. So, I mean, that's an issue, like you're going to have to take that Congress coalition.
Yeah.
And I'm just asking, is that been in the back of your mind? Like, there are Democrats out there who make money.
Yes, there are. Yeah.
On the healthcare issue.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Let's not talk, yeah.
You're absolutely right. But this is such an issue through everybody in the United States. Everybody's feeling this. Everybody's hurting. Doesn't matter if you're red, blue, independent. It's the most. This and affordability and healthcare are the most important issues to everybody in the United States right now.
I make a statement on what Randy asked.
Sure.
Randy made the comment that politicians make money off of healthcare. Politicians make money off of just being politicians.
Yeah.
And what we need to do, and what I do believe Justin is, one of these people are going to do, is get into office, identify these people, point them out, make them seen, and make sure the people actually vote that they lose their jobs. Because that's what this is. It's a job. We're representing you. You're our bosses.
Exactly. The people are involved. Yeah. And that transparency needs to be there. And like you said, they do need to be called out and say, hey, why aren't you voting for this that's going to help people in your district, going to help people in the United States? So thank you, Randy.
Yep.
Or Mike, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, Mike.
I'm better looking.
Right, exactly.
Opinions are like assholes.
I got that on tape.
Yeah.
Oh, you're recording? Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
that's my job, man.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Whoops.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna show up at Mike Kelly's dinner.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll be there.
And are you gonna ask him whether he'll debate you?
So yeah, we'll keep asking him until he says
I
yes.
think that we should have somebody at every event that he may be at. Not necessarily in Wagner here,
Sure.
but saying, will you debate Justin?
Yeah. Just have some like some of the Republicans who are on my team talk to him and be like, hey, Mike, I'm a Republican. We debate your opponent, Justin. I'd like to see that. Be like, you'll beat him.
Well, you never say that.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it, and we'll see if we can get something set up. I'd love to. That'd be my first debate too, so we'll see how I do. I think I'll do well.
The thing Thursday then at the mall, are you asking other veterans to walk with you and just thank from what I understand, it's a veteran services
Yeah.
and there's supposed to be a lot of people there and it's like a services fair.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that they see that Democrats are thanking them too. Because the narrative is that, oh, veterans are all Republicans and they need to see that's not. And I'm assuming that's what you're doing is just shaking all those people's hands. And
Thank you for their services, yes.
have you used veteran services?
Yeah, my wife and I both have used veteran services, yeah. That's, like I said, she's a veteran.
Where's this event?
It's in the mall.
Downtown?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah,
Thursday.
from like 1 to 3.
I can go there.
Yeah, come on down. The one thing I don't want it to be, I don't want it to turn into a Justin Wagner rally. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's for veterans. So we're just going as veterans. And we'll talk to all the people offering service, and we might like do some videos like, oh, what service are you offering veterans, and share that with folks. But,
I think it helps if you're against the veterans.
super dedicated and
excellent.
do a wonderful job. So I'm with you, I want people to go to it.
Yeah. Learn about service. What was that?
No, I said, I think it's gonna help if you're a younger veteran. And, I think a lot of the veterans are gonna show up for people who are younger,
Yep.
who went through, Iraq.
Afghanistan. Yeah.
Yeah, and
In Somalia and a few other places.
Yep.
We had, I mean, people focus on those, but we've had our hands in all over Africa,
Yeah. Yeah.
which we cannot identify, but okay.
How many wars has Trump started?
39.
No,
13?
well, if you count the Iran war 5 times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 38 times. But that's another thing, like 20 years from now, like 20 years from here, they're at war with Iraq, right? And now, veterans. 20 years from now, we're going to have Iran war veterans who are going to need these services as well.
We have Iraq vets now.
Yeah.
People forget that that's 2003. That's 23 years. I mean,
Yeah, I was there in 06. 3 years.
I mean,
Yeah. My daughter was born on Christmas Eve in 2005. And then I got to stay for a week. And then I left for Iraq a week after my first daughter was born. Man, did a good job raising her by herself.
Your website was helpful.
Oh, good.
Background,
Yeah, excellent.
to say that.
So you're saying, stop talking about my background. No, I'm just kidding.
Not talk about it. You're a real person.
Yes.
So I've seen in some polls that some Republicans who have voted for Trump are beginning to regret that choice. In these rural counties that you're hoping to represent, where perhaps being a Republican publicly feels more normal than being a Democrat publicly, at least outside of the city of Meadville, etc.
Yeah.
How are you finding those individuals who may now want to pursue a different path, but may not want to go public with their, turning blue?
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of them are finding me.
Yeah.
They're looking for me, they're finding me, and they're talking to me and saying, hey, we supported Trump, but not anymore. Or even, we've got some very staunch Republican friends that support these farmers, and they do not like Mike Kelly, and they don't like Trump. But they're hardcore conservatives. Like, they have actual conservative values, not Trump values, not MAGA values. And they're really good friends of ours. And at these fairs and stuff, people come up to me and say, hey, I'm a Republican, Justin, but I'm a registered Republican, but I'm voting for you, Justin. So,
Do you have a playbook of those conservative values that you may also adhere to or feel positively about? Because I think we're all an amalgamation of some conservative values and some more liberal values. At least I am. So, are you able to say to those folks, well, I agree with you on these issues, and please, let's try and work together on these issues that perhaps we disagree on?
yeah, well, my playbook is the Constitution. And that is, I'm a hardcore constitutionalist. And when they come up and say a lot of things, they're constitutionalists as well. But the people who aren't are the ones who are far
Well, they think they're constitutional.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But, they only care about one amendment, and not the rest of them. So, but finding those people and finding those kinds of common ground stuff, like conservative support for the Constitution. It's not hard. And like I said before, I'll talk to any Republican, I'll talk to anybody, and they'll usually let you know if they're an asshole within like 5 seconds. So then I can decide which way to take the conversation. But so far, everything's been very, very supportive. Like I said, a lot of people feel pain, a lot of people are hurting, and they know that the people in charge right now aren't trying to help.
Rob, are there things happening with like door knocking and
Yeah, right now the campaign is in the process. I'm kind of tangentially involved just because I'm trying to get volunteers. I don't know if all of you guys know, I'm the campaign volunteer coordinator as a volunteer. And Aletha here is in charge of Crawford County and trying to call you, so you'll hear her call. But we are trying to put together scripts and using and figure out strategy of where are we targeting the message, and if you're in different communities, you target the message a little differently. I think the goal is we need to be in places like Vernon and Westmead, so that you have a neighbor that puts up a sign. There's enough other people that might say, okay, I know Judy, she's really good, and maybe she has something going here. So that's kind of the targeting, is looking at these people that might be some of the same people that have some reasoning, said, wait a minute, Trump's not right. I still want somebody who's somewhat conservative. So yes, we're getting that ready. Originally, Zach had said, oh yeah, we'll do this in September. And pretty much all the volunteer corps said, no, sooner than later. So Zach's kind of scrambling. If you don't know Zach, he's the campaign manager, trying to get that done. So there's enough of us that are on this case saying, yes, we need to do this. And in fact, I made 2 calls yesterday about this.
And stuff like that.
What?
Get like walk lists.
Yeah.
Like, get takeaways.
Yep, I had 2 conversations yesterday, another one the day before, just in my role of just trying to get the right people, coordinated volunteers. We have on the list, we have over 90 people that have said they'd go canvassing with us, and we have almost 90 people that have said that they would be willing to do phone banking. Now, we've done some phone banking, we've done some canvassing with PA Dems, but we want to target and talk about just Justin. That's, what is he? Like you said, there's probably some people, if you sat down and talked to them, they would think, oh, you like Trump, don't you? So it's like you can, well, I know, but I mean, if you were to focus on some of the conservative issues and your veterans' views and, budget kind of things, they would assume that, oh, you're not that commie lib that, I thought you were.
Right.
Because, I mean, that's the sad thing, so.
Well, they assume that without having conversation.
Right. So we got to get the conversation going. Yeah. And I'm very happy with the volunteers because, I started this, kind of nosed my way into it, and then now we've got a team of 5 good people that are helping out in each of the counties. So
Rob's wife brought me this shirt. So thank you very much.
Is that district wide then? You're talking about the 90
The 90 is through the whole district. So there's probably a good handful in every district. To be honest, Butler is probably the most organized, wouldn't you say, as far as Butler. Yeah. And that's something to Crawford. We need to do a little bit better push. I mean, we could say we're better than Venango, but Venango, I mean, I guess.
Venango's half our size, folks. Right?
No, but I mean, Venango's kind of
just
tough.
It's just rank.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just a poor.
Rose City's not my district. It's in,
The what?
it's in the other district.
really?
15.
Yeah, see, that's.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Those rank. What is Venango's like split?
So we need
I was born at Sharon Hospital,
Okay.
so I'm wondering what you're going to tell the people of the Shenango Valley about the hospital and saving, getting them to help.
Yeah, well, I was born in Greenville Hospital. And kind of the same thing. Greenville's down to 1 floor. 1 floor. My mom worked there for 30 years. She was a CNA there. And they were busted. They had all the doors open, cafeteria, everything. And when she went to the ER not too long ago, that's it. There's nobody there. It was 1 floor. was just like general care. But she had to go to Jameson for cardio. She had to go everywhere else. Sharon, gas goes down. You know, because of this funding cut, we're cutting funding to rural hospitals. Not only that, but we're in like an OBGYN desert.
Yeah.
People have to drive hours for maternal care and things like that because of all this funding cuts. Why are we cutting aid to rural hospitals? Why are we cutting aid to OBGYN places? Why? What is the end game there other than to hurt people? How does closing hospitals serve anyone? But
More profits.
more profits, exactly. Well, profits over people. It's always been that way. So we need to turn it on its head and make sure that it's people over profits. Because, yeah, close all these hospitals and don't treat anybody. And how are you even making any money? Like, if you're not even open. So it doesn't make sense to just close a hospital for good and not have like any care. So we have to fund. We have to fight to fund rural hospitals. We have to fight to fund rural health care. It's a tough nut to crack because they've done so much to destroy all these institutions that we have. So it's a huge battle. It's a huge fight to get this stuff back.
I think you also don't need to think through how are you going to advocate for them like I'm going, say I'm going to fight to get a hospital rebuilt
Yeah.
or a new hospital which they about. And then, lead into plus we got to do all these other things to make sure a hospital is going to fail.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for a solution right now because things are closing down.
Right.
They're eliminating departments and everything else.
But when you cut things like Medicaid, when you cut,
What's private equity?
yeah,
I mean, Sharon's problem is private equity.
Yeah.
Private equity
they
firm
don't
came
go
in,
by somebody.
raped the whole thing. That's one way to stop it. Make it more community. I'm not trying to put words about it, but make it more community based as opposed to, that's
That's a lot of money.
There needs to be a plan for
like the Buell Foundation took them to court because they cited about. I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump in here, but that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons this private equity came in, made all these promises, and then said They took their retirement.
That's
They
for
took
profit healthcare.
Yeah.
For profit healthcare.
You need a poison pill in there.
What?
You need a poison pill so
Yeah.
venture capitalists don't come in. You need to get that.
There's not enough money in Sharon alone to get a good facility built, and it's pretty much going to take building a brand new facility. It's going to take bringing state and national resources together initially, and then correcting the funding problems.
It's going to take working for federal funding to build a hospital.
Little less than an F-35 fighter, maybe, huh?
Yeah.
All the maintenance.
Fixing up a guitar jet.
One of the things, to your point, for profit private equity, if we move towards a more equitable, like universal healthcare system, we won't see hospitals closing. And that's not an overnight solution.
That's about insurance being provided.
Yeah, there's steps to take, and interval steps, because we can't go in. Well, I wish I could, but on day one, I'm not gonna lie to you. Day one, I'm gonna fix healthcare. I know some people would say things like that. Get in there. There's lots of steps we got to take to work toward the solution. It's not overnight. It's not going to make everybody happy, but it's going to be better than we. I guess so.
Who do you plan on using as resources to help with? I mean, you yourself can't just go and do it. You're especially new to the whole system. What resources are you going to use to help guide you in making a decision that helps us? I mean, you can ask me and I can give you an opinion, but I have, and I will give you an opinion.
Yes, I know you will.
But I mean, I have no way of doing things. There's resources in Washington that are not for people with work. Have you already looked into?
I've looked at, I've been making connections with local congressmen like Crystal Lee, some people in there now fighting for things that I think we should be fighting for. So I would get their guidance and work with them with most legislation, right legislation, like that. I'm sure I'll have a team who will guide me through things like that. As far as Congress goes, but I think the biggest thing is to get in there and find good mentorship. as a freshman. So that's one of the things that I'm working on. Hopefully I can find something.
It sounds like you've already
I'm
started
starting.
talking to the Western VA people.
Yeah. Talking to those folks, and talk to Roche as well. He was here. Me and Roche had a great conversation. I followed him around the district. We went to a farm. We went to a healthcare conference. We went to Meadville for the open air kind of thing, which was super awesome. So yeah, I'm finding people that I trust and help me when I get to do the best job I can. And I plan on being here more in the district than Washington, D.C. So I think that's the job.
Good plan, but it will take a lot of effort to do that.
It will.
That's a lot of travel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I thought it's 4.5 hours, well, it's 5 hours.
Yeah. But I'll have an office. I'll have a cot to sleep in. So won't be traveling back and
I
forth.
think your first proposal to everybody should be to sell all the gold that's in the White House.
There you go.
There you go.
There you are.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We're thinking it's all probably like spray painted, just gold.
What the snap is plastic. Packing up plastic gold.
Right. You guys, somebody's phone is ringing. Sylvia Reesing is calling someone. You guys need to be eating food while you're listening to me. There's a ton of food.